and welcome to the Good Girl Confessional. I'm your host, Sandy Lowries, and the Good Girl Confessional is proudly brought to you by WB40 Women Beyond 40 magazine. Today in the podcast, I'm super excited to be chatting with Sue Brabender, the founder and leader of Me Time Just For Me. It's a beautiful business, and when Sue was working for someone else, she was working crazy hours trying to, support her family, and unfortunately she had just lost her father. Working those sort of crazy hours meant that sooner or later she hit the wall, and Me Time Just For Me came out of that. This is a beautiful business where Sue makes t-shirts that are a reminder for everyone to take time out and for women to give themselves permission to take some me time. She is an absolute delight and she is quite inspiring. So please welcome to the Confessional, her very first podcast, Sue Brabender. Hello and welcome to the Confessional, Sue Brabender. How are you?
Thanks, Sandy. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much for being here, because I know it's a crazy time of year, and I'm so thrilled to have you on today.
I'm very excited to be here. I've got my daughter downstairs under strict instructions not to come up and interrupt, as it is school holidays. But yeah.
Oh yeah, school holidays, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. You know, it's tough for a lot of mums, and especially like at the moment, it's been a lot of people in lockdown, who've had kids at home for quite some time.
Well, I think she's been at school probably 4 weeks out of the whole term. Last term, she was at school for 6 actual school days, and then it was holidays.
Wow.
Yeah, you end up not even knowing if it's what day it is. Is it the weekend? Is it a school day? It's hard for your head to get around where you are.
So true. And I'm in Melbourne, so we're strangely used to the whole lockdown situation. It's odd, but it's feeling very sorry for everyone else at the moment around Australia. It's been a bit full on this week.
And it's funny how it's making news now that the other states are in lockdown, and we were kind of just shoved under the carpet a little, I feel.
Yeah, true. Very true. Yep, very true. So I have just discovered that this is your very first podcast. Yay! So I feel like there's no better place to lose your podcast virginity than in the Confessional. So welcome.
Are you going to pull out all my deep, dark secrets, Sandy?
Well, I really, I don't know about that. We do get a lot of confessions in the Confessional, although that's, not necessarily, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, Sue. But I wanted to have you on and chat about your business, which is called Me Time Just For Me. Because I think it's a really beautiful business, but the messaging behind the business is really important, I think, for a lot of women. So tell us all about Me Time Just For Me and how it all started.
Wow. It's, actually July is the Me Time's 3rd birthday month. So I can't believe I'm even saying that. That's just so bizarre to me, that, we've come this far and we're still here.
Well, congratulations and happy birthday.
Thank you. I was working a lot. I've always worked full time, and 60, probably 70 hours a week. My daughter was in prep. My son was 17, 18 and a bit of a handful. And my father passed away. And I basically just kept working through it all. Just really didn't give myself time to grieve. Was having work dropped off while I was organising the funeral, and just kind of, I was basically running the company. So I felt like I couldn't take time off, and it was a really busy time of year for us. So I just kept going, working, and then a couple of months later, my sister sat me down. I was actually organising a charity event at the same time for my nephew. So just, had it all going on. And she said to me, "You're not breathing. Like, you are literally not taking a breath. You're manic. Talking a lot, talking really quickly, talking a lot. I probably didn't look great. I wasn't exercising, wasn't eating well. So just generally all cylinders were empty. So I went in and resigned straight away. The boss wasn't having that, so he offered me to work 2 days from home, but I think it was too late. All I know, it was too late. I couldn't go from running the business to hardly knowing what was going on. Like, that was literally driving me insane as well. So with the support of my husband, I just stopped working and decided that I just needed to look after myself and my family. And it's funny, I didn't really realise that I had a nervous breakdown. I thought I was just tired. And then my neck gave out, my arm gave out. I was putting on a lot of weight. And after having lots of blood tests and seeing naturopaths and seeing everyone who couldn't quite work out what was wrong with me, but everything was wrong. It was basically everything was wrong. All the levels of everything, like your zinc and all the things on the inside, were all just in the wrong spot and the wrong numbers. So, you know, and I probably, that's not even something I've talked about a lot, but a nervous breakdown is not necessarily rocking in a corner or in a hospital, or, you know, I was still functioning, cooking, cleaning, looking after my family, at the same time trying to work out how to get better. So I decided to give myself some time off, which I did, and we got through like school holidays. I wanted to just be at home. And then during that, I thought, I don't think I can go back. Back to what I was doing. And then I was sitting down and I had a tank on. Like, I've always loved yoga. I've always been spiritual, and I had a tank on that I loved, and I couldn't find it. And I thought, why don't I do that? And then again, chatting with my sister, she said, it's your time to shine. Like this, you've worked so hard for other people. Maybe it's, you know, it's your time. And that's where me time came from. And I wasn't very big on social media and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it just came out like, and now, you know, me time is kind of like a catchword. But I didn't, for me, it came out of that conversation. And so I just kind of put my love of fashion together with wanting people not to get to where I was. You know, not to use the word busy, not to just be running, because you literally, you can't. So that's how it all came. Like, that's a short version. It's long, but that kind of is the short version. And it's evolved from there. So, yeah, but that's basically it. It came from the want and the need for me to educate people not to get to where I was.
Well, thank you so much too for your incredible honesty and authenticity, and in talking about having a breakdown, and I think that you hit something, you know, the nail on the head here for something that is really important, is that, you know, quite often women are working, we're part of a sandwich generation, children, aging parents, work commitments, family, all of it, and we're sort of under this extraordinary pressure, thanks to our mothers, bless them, and they, you know, we stand on the shoulders of giants. But, you know, I know particularly my mum fought for women's rights, and, you know, so that women in our generation could have it all. The problem with the trying to have it all, of course, is that, you know, when you're one person and you're under enormous strain, of course, something has to give. I'm a big believer, and I'm sure this will resonate with you as well, that if you won't slow down and you need to slow down, the universe will find a way to make it happen.
Absolutely.
And often that happens, as you say, it comes out physically.
Yes.
And so for you, what were the sort of things, like at what point did you realise, wow, this is actually more serious than I thought, this is a breakdown?
I just kind of lost the joy, and I felt in a fog. I just very tired, like just could not sleep enough. But again, how much can you sleep looking after your family and everything? I didn't want to socialise. I found it very difficult to be around people, and I found it hard because my daughter had just started prep. It was all new parents. Like, I hated pick up and drop off. Like, I would feel sick. Like, I just felt like I had nothing left to give. And people would ask me questions, and I just would look at, I just didn't know how to answer. Everything was foggy, for want of a better word. I just couldn't get the brain to sync with the mouth, and I was doing my yoga, and couldn't even do that. I'd cry. I'd just cry. And I'd always loved to do like Tabata training and that kind of thing. I couldn't do it. But my hand had gone. Like, it was just, I couldn't lift a pot. I couldn't, this arm was just done. So I was seeing lots of people, spiritual healers, the naturopath, spent a fortune on all these therapies. And I think the naturopath may have actually used the words, you've had, or you're having a nervous breakdown, that made me stop and go, hang on, I don't feel normal. I haven't grieved Dad. It's okay. I need to stop. And just see how I feel every day, and then make decisions on what I'm going to do. So
yeah, and I'm I'm incredibly sorry to hear about the loss of your dad, and that is such a huge thing to go through. I've lost both parents, and I think it is a huge thing. Yes. And I think giving yourself permission and time, as you say, to grieve, because the other thing I know for certain is that you can run from grief, but grief can run faster.
I lost my mum 14 years ago, so I think, it's a different feeling, I think, as you know, losing a second parent. It's like a whole opens up, and all of a sudden you're at the top tier of the family. It's hard to explain, but obviously you would understand what I mean. It's, the second parent, it's different.
Yeah, it's a huge sense of aloneness, mm-hmm. I guess. It's probably the way that I felt. And I know obviously grief is very different for everybody. Yeah. But you're right. It's this, and I'm very lucky to be surrounded by some pretty incredible people. But it is that kind of psychological shift that happens. And as you say, you're suddenly the matriarch in your family,
It just, and it's going to happen to everyone. And you don't want anyone to ever feel like you do. It's a strange feeling. I feel too young. Yeah. I felt too young, I think, too, to be the matriarch. It's weird. It's hard to put into words sometimes, I think.
It is. And in that, taking that time for yourself, as you say, me time, yes. To heal, I guess, and to grieve. Mm-hmm. What did the creativity then come back, and the joy when you started your own business?
Yes, I laugh at myself now because I've just finished my very first business plan, and it's my third year. So gung-ho, I'm going to sell T-shirts. The T-shirt's going to remind people. I'm going to buy 100 T-shirts. You're going to sell in a week. No. That doesn't happen. It's been a really hard slog to get this far, to be honest. With some not negative feelings, but just kind of like, why do you keep doing it? But I am so, if you're not making $1 million, is what I mean. Why do you continue to just, slave away, I suppose. I am so passionate about not letting people get to where I was It's not even about the product. It's the product is wear it, remind yourself, or write in the journal. I journal a lot, and my philosophy around everything I sell, everything I promote is what I do. So I'm not going to say go and bungee jump, because I'd never do that. I'm scared of heights. But, I literally actually wear these t-shirts every day. Or I just take my sweaters on the back of my chair. It's just my go-to, and it does remind me. I do think in the mornings, okay, how do I feel? What do I need to do today to make today a good day for me? Which then in turn rubs off the family. So the yin yoga, the journaling. Yin yoga actually saved me. It was literally the only kind of exercise I could do at that time, because I was just so tired. A lot of people don't know what yin yoga is, because it's obviously it's an old, but it's a new kind of norm. It's 5 or 6 poses in the hour. So you hold them for a much longer time. And I actually call it my business meeting with myself, because I go in with an intention or a question, and I usually get the answer.
I love that. I think as a fellow business owner, I think that's such a fantastic message. You know what I mean? Is to have a business meeting with yourself, and to do it in a way, whatever works for you, yin yoga, meditation, whatever it may be, to kind of center yourself and bring yourself back. Yes. Because the really interesting thing, and I love that, you wear your products every day and you wear it. It's a reminder, because it literally says me time, just for me, which is great, or me time. Yeah. It's a great reminder. And I think a lot of women, I know I am, are really bad at just taking that bit of time out to go, no, this is my space, my time. We're not particularly great at it.
So many. And it doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't even have to be 5 minutes sometimes. And I'm trying to teach my daughter that as well. And trying to lead by example. It can be 5 deep breaths. Close your eyes, shut out whatever is going on, and just breathe. Go outside, bare feet, put them on the grass. Sounds weird, but it grounds you. It connects you with the earth, and it's not woo-woo. It actually works. The breathing actually works. It's how our nervous system is set up. It can be just, sitting down, turn the TV off, have no noise. Go and sit in the bathroom and hide. I know it's hard with the kids in school holidays. I put someone to bed. I have the bath running while I'm putting her to bed, and I get in. Sometimes I'll take my laptop in and watch a girly movie. So that doesn't happen a lot. Or I'll take my book in, or I'll just have the phone going with some nice music, whatever I think I need. But you need to know yourself. I can give you reminders, or I can give you some hints, but you know what works for you. You know what brings you joy. You know what makes you smile. You know what brings you peace, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. And I guess,
I'll run. Oh, I'm not going to do that.
I know, but good on the women that do that. I think well done to them. I'm not a runner, but the other thing is too, obviously I'm a podcast host. I'm a huge lover of other people's podcasts. And so for me, that's one of the things that I often do. If I go for a walk, I can put my ear pods in. I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm listening to music. Or nowadays, one of the best things that I've discovered is audiobooks as well, because I'm so busy and on the go, and I love books and I love to read, and quite often I don't have the time. So putting in the earbuds while I'm doing other things and listening to an incredible book is a way kind of for me to zone out that little bit as well, and to, that's my me time, and I quite like it.
I love it. It's different for everyone. It doesn't have to be sitting cross-legged, omming, or, it doesn't have to be, if you're not, whatever you're into, and
I agree.
And I remind myself every day, nothing changes if you don't make change. Like, my day is not going to be any different if I keep repeating the same old cycles. But if I can change one little thing, get up 10 minutes earlier and meditate, or get up 10 minutes earlier and just sit outside and look at the sunrise, I have my coffee in peace. Then the next day I try something else, or I add on to what I'd started the day before. they will work. And if you
Yeah.
slip up on a day, it's not broken. Start again. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah, so that's great advice, because I think, as I say, women, it's almost like you really need to give yourself permission
100%.
to just have some me time. And I think it's such a valuable and important thing. And especially a lot of women in my age demographic are going through perimenopause or menopause. There's all sorts of things going on biologically, physiologically, as it is, and having all that stress on top of us, as I've mentioned before, it's important to remember to take some time out and to just feel good about yourself. And by that, I don't mean, go out and get Botox or anything radical. In fact, I hope people don't. But it's that it's really is those simple things to just kind of go, just
Absolutely.
breathe, as you said, just breathe.
Just breathe. And I've myself been through all that. That was all intertwined with the nervous breakdown. Went through all those hormone changes as well. So it was, take a deep breath even talking about it. It all was going on, and it was quite heavy.
Yeah, wow.
But I've also found a lovely lady, a local lady that does beautiful hot stone massages, and she's also a Reiki practitioner. So if I feel like I really need a really good cleanse and indulge myself, I book in. I budget it. I can't afford to do all these things all the time either. But I budget. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that this week, and I'm not going to do something else.
I think that's fantastic.
You just got to find. Yeah, I'm not going back to how I was. I'm just not.
That's great. And so that begs the question, though, because you run your own business, and I'm a business owner, so I know sometimes it can be really quite intense. How do you find the work-life balance? Because clearly you're running your business a lot from home, so it's hard sometimes to switch off between what is work, what's family, and how do you find that balance?
That is a lot of what I am still working on. The last few months, the business has evolved as I've kind of wanting to work more with small biz ladies for that very reason. I'm finding what I'm missing, and then I want to, and I am making something that I can share with others. So I've started the monthly Me Time meetups, which is 2 hours a lunch, 8 ladies, no big networking. I can't cope. And we sit and we talk and we laugh and brainstorm. And often none of the 8 know each other. Often Friday, we just had one Friday. I hadn't met 5 of the ladies, but they invested in themselves, got themselves out of their home office, and they've started to build their own little work family. Like, I love seeing it. There's been collaborations, services exchanged, products purchased, phone numbers exchanged, separate coffee dates if they live close. So it brings me so much joy, because I felt lonely working by myself and overwhelmed and, oh God, who am I going to ask that question? So, and out from the very first one, they all didn't want to leave. So then Nicole was there. She's a photographer. We thought, what if we could do a day that they could come and spend, again, just 8 ladies, not too many. They could get some branding photos done. They could do some work, and they could brainstorm. They could, we could teach each other whatever we need to know and have some lunch. And so that's happening in August. We launched that last week. So in everything I do, I think I'm putting together things that I would want to do that will help me. And I'm enjoying it as much as I am hosting it. I'm making some beautiful friendships. Some friendships that I never thought I would make, because these ladies get me. They get what I'm doing. They're small biz ladies. We have much more in common than we ever thought. We've got all the insecurities. We've got the networking fear, we're introverts. We don't like going to the big things and standing in a corner, or, walking up and going, what do you do? And it's, we've all got the same insecurity. Everyone's just too scared to say it, basically. So I'm hoping and I'm helping to alleviate some of that.
I think that's fantastic. And one of the big messages, of the Good Girl Confessional and, of course, WB40, Women Beyond 40 magazine, is exactly that the collaborations of women and building friendships, relationships, support networks is so, so important.
Yes.
For our well-being and our health.
Absolutely.
And, when we talk about me time, sometimes having, as you say, the advice of other women to chat to, have a conversation with, shout out to and say, hey, I need some help, is just so good for our health.
Put your hand up. Send a DM. And if someone doesn't answer, brush it off. Go to the next. And they may have missed it. That happens sometimes, or it gets put in the others folder, or I think everyone's better together. And I have to say, putting this event on with Nicole, it's so nice, working with someone to do it, to be able to bounce ideas off each other, share each other's network, and just generally have that nice feeling of a work wife again. So yeah, but I think it's really important to put your hand up and to reach out to someone you trust. You don't have to get on Instagram and talk about it. Send a message me. I'm always here. But say, you know what? I'm feeling really shit today. What can I do? Have you got any advice for me? Can I talk to you? Reach out. You have to.
Great advice. And I think especially for women in micro and small businesses where often it can feel really lonely. Yes. And I know, and I do talk about this a lot, that women are our own worst enemies in terms of we find we're the doers. So we find it difficult, I think, to put our hand up and ask for help. And, I know when I started Women Beyond 40 Mag that while I had this idea in my head, it really couldn't have happened without the extraordinary collaboration of so many women and women some of whom I've never met in real life, who have, really, I just put the word out and said, I'm starting a magazine, who's in, and I just sort of put it across a few women's business groups that I hadn't, and I was very much like, I used to like other people's posts, but didn't really get heavily involved myself. And was overwhelmed by the response of people who wanted to write for the magazine or who had, because we promote small and micro businesses run by women as well and charities. And so those people stepped forward. It was just overwhelming and beautiful. And the collaboration, I mean, you yourself, and we're very grateful, those that subscribed to our magazine for issue 3 went into the draw to win a beautiful prize pack from yourself, from Me Time Just For Me. And a really beautiful lady has just reached out. Her name is Lisa Liao, and has said how beautiful the product is, and she was just so thrilled. So we will put that up. But it is that kind of working with each other, promoting each other, helping each other, and feeling less alone.
Absolutely. And put your ego aside. It's hard. It's hard. The social media and looking at what everyone else is doing, and it can be really overwhelming. But just pop your ego aside and put your hand up, or reach out to you, or subscribe to a page that sends feel good messages every day. Or you don't even have to kind of speak to a person. You can look around to see whatever suits. But yeah, just do your thing, and I think you got to believe in yourself too and trust in yourself, and that's a massive thing for us as well. We are all our own worst enemies. We have self-doubt, and we have the inner nasty girl.
And imposter syndrome, and I talk about this a lot as well, that I think women especially, like men have it as well, but women especially seem to have this, imposter syndrome. And yet, I have so many extraordinary women on this podcast, and we tell so many amazing stories of women in the mag. So you see firsthand the incredible things that people are doing, but without a doubt, I would say that 8 out of 10 of those women will say, one of my biggest battles was imposter syndrome, or thinking I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, or who's going to listen to me, or, is my message getting through? Even those that have enormous following and huge success.
I've got it tattooed on my arm. I'm enough. Oh, I can't say. I've got it tattooed here, and I did a T-shirt for International Women's Day saying "I am enough" for that very reason. Yeah, I think
I love that. And I love that you have it tattooed
yeah,
on you because, it's a constant
constant
reminder,
reminder. We are all enough. Doesn't matter. We are all enough, whatever we choose to do. So, but you know, just make sure you've got lots of nice close, not even lots, some true friends that you can turn to and help you.
Yeah, and I love that. And this sort of coincides with issue 4 of WB40 that's out now, which is the theme is
Yeah,
sisterhood. And it's exactly about that. And if they, well, if you're lucky enough to have like huge groups of friends, that's wonderful. But, even studies have proven that just to have one
yeah.
really good girlfriend out there who you can talk to, chat with, really increases, the dopamine levels,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important. It is really genuinely good for your brain health and your heart health, and just to have someone out there who has got your back.
Absolutely, and someone just to talk to or to reach out to. So important. I know I've said it 100 times, but and lockdown and the C word, and everyone's fragile for whatever reason. It's actually worse at the minute. So just take a minute and make sure you're looking after yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's really good advice as well. As you said before, if people are feeling a bit fragile, is to not be afraid to reach
Mm-hmm.
out to people and to say, "Hey, I'm having a bit of a crap day,
Yes.
actually. Have you got a minute?" And I know, I've made a very conscious choice, and I know a lot of my friends have as well over this, the whole during lockdowns, to engage with people, and whether it's a quick text message, check in, say, "Hey, how are you?" or "I'm thinking about you today," or a quick phone call and say, "Oh, how are you doing?" And especially people that are at home, and then so a lot of people live by themselves,
Yes.
right? It's a difficult time. And just that quick check-in sometimes, puts a smile on someone's face or allows them to say, "I'm actually not doing so well today."
Yes, and I shoot a few quick DMs. I look through and see some of my very engaged, beautiful, loyal me timers, and if they haven't engaged for a bit, then I'll sneak in and just, "Are you okay?" And they're like, "Oh, how did you even notice?" And yes, everyone, I do notice. I do know when you're there. So, yeah, and they love it. They're just like, "Oh my God." It's like, why wouldn't I?
And it is important,
You know it's
like we've got the
important.
private group for the Good Girl Confessional, which is called the Confessional on
Yeah.
Facebook. And it's a private group for women, and, women can join. But it's the same thing. So we do shout out and kind of say, "Hey, Sydney sisters, how you
Yeah.
doing?" And, everyone in Queensland, how are you coping? And, during the floods recently, we did have a few of our members who, one was, getting ready to be evacuated, like just, this was all sort of happening in real time. It's just knowing that there's a community of women out there, whether you've met in real life or you've never met at all, who just have your back and are kind of like, we do care about you, and are you okay,
Yes.
And is there anything we can do to help? I mean, that's the other thing as well.
But I think sometimes even just having that, knowing that someone is there if you need them, that's all you need. You don't
I
even need to say
agree.
anything. Or, they don't need to say anything, but you just go, "Yeah, I'm fine, but thanks for reaching out." And you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, someone's there."
And it's like our, part of our Google confessional group is like, mostly it's just funny memes and
Yes.
putting a smile on people's faces, and that's okay as well. But we do occasionally have someone who reach out and say, "Oh, hey, I need some advice," or "How is everyone doing?" or whatever. And it's wonderful. It's really nice to see those sort of communities of women
Yeah.
that are out there, and it's really important. And regardless of whether you join a million groups or you join one, I think it's just really nice to know that if people join your me timers group, just say, like, it's to know that they're connected, they're part of something bigger.
Yes, definitely. I have thought about a Facebook group. I haven't got one. But now that you're saying that, maybe, for the ladies that have come to the lunches, and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's lovely, and all of your beautiful me timers are welcome to jump into our group as well. The confessional over at the Good Girl Confessional Facebook page, they can just jump in. I think what's really nice about those sort of spaces, and especially for us, we don't tolerate any bullying or harshness or horrible stuff. And to be honest, we've been extraordinarily lucky. I've really not had to remove anyone from that
Oh, that's
group
lovely.
because everyone is lovely and supportive and there for each other. And, you know, that's a beautiful thing. And so what advice would you have, Sue, for anybody who is in the same boat as you were, who's like feeling extraordinarily burnt out and they've got an idea and they want to start a business? What would be some advice you'd give them?
Okay, it's a good question because I am going to write about this, but I mentioned before I've just done my business plan with a lovely lady called Julie Doyle. I reached out to her for a whole nother reason, and it just so happened to coincide with her doing her first business plan course, and it has changed my world. So I would first thing have a business plan or even an idea, sketch out a forecast as well of what you need to, or how much you need to start up, what you need to spend, and what your goals are. I've just done it for the first time. So I've done a 3 forecast, done the business plan. I would definitely invest in some kind of social media training. I was very lucky to do Instagram intensive with the Digital Picnic when I very first started. And then I did, I don't think they have the course anymore, but it was basically a social media. It was just a little bit about Facebook and those kind of things. So it gave me a little bit of an insight to take away the overwhelm. Because as you know, social media can be very overwhelming and take up everything, and it shouldn't. So I think, and just if you're already on socials, follow and interact with the people that you really admire, and reach out and ask them for advice, or you know, go to maybe some smaller networking groups, build up your network. But I think having a plan and maybe having your to-do list, cutting it down to doing 1 to 3 a day. Don't do 10 a day. You'll be exhausted. You'll just be back where you were. And be in some nice groups. And that will get you support as well. I know that probably sounds like a lot, but I think they're probably the fundamentals of starting out and making sure that you are supported from the get-go.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Absolutely. And I think that's really great advice. So how many hours a day would you spend now? Because you were working crazy hours previously.
Yes.
So in your own business, how many hours a day approximately do you spend working?
It's pretty much the school hours. I'm getting better at planning my social media. At the start, I didn't as much because my page is very personal. If you follow me, you would know that a lot of it is what I'm feeling like at that minute. So I'll get on and I'll post. I'm writing a lot more and I'm loving that. I'm writing blogs. I've got notebooks everywhere because I'll get an idea. I'll write about that. And I find that really cathartic as well. So I think it depends, but like at night, I don't find it a chore. If I think of an idea, I'll grab my notebook and I'll write. Or if I'm giving myself a full day off, then I'll do a couple of hours at night. You know, if I'm getting my eyelashes done, or you know, having one of my massages, or this afternoon I've got a spiritual healing by Zoom. So today, really, I'm working an hour or two, but I'm getting better at planning. I plan a few things ahead now using Planoly for social media, and that does take the pressure off. So I reckon probably 25 hours a week to answer your question.
Yeah, wow, that's great. And I know you're right, social media is massive. And I think for a lot of people, they don't realize the time that's spent behind the scenes for social media. It's quite huge. And, you know, we're very, very lucky that we have this extraordinary chick on our team, Debbie Larson, who now does our social media, because originally I was doing it all and it was just too difficult to kind of keep on top of it. And she's come in and she's a whiz kid. She's a self-confessed content junkie. She loves it. And for us, it's been huge. But I think you're right, is to have that sort of, there's a lot of places you can go now to do sort of quick, intensive courses, because a lot of people, especially, a lot of women in my age demographic, and I've had a lot of questions around this, is, I don't even know how to post things properly on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So just getting that background knowledge is really good. And as you say, like, there are apps out there that you can plan and schedule posts, which is great. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, it's been great having Debbie on, because I wouldn't even say I'm certainly not an expert. And it's been fun learning it though.
Well, I'm just, I've learned by my mistakes, really. I listen, but I'm forever learning. So I think just have the confidence, and I know financially it's not easy when you're starting up, and people say, oh, I can't afford it. But if you can get a few of those things in place, you will grow quicker. Good English, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, though. You'll expand quicker for sure, right?
It is an investment. You need, and plus the other thing is, which everyone hates, is get your face on. People buy from people. Service product.
Yeah, very true.
People buy from people. It's horrendous. I get DMs all the time. How do you do that? I do not watch them back, just so you know, because they would never get posted.
No, it's true. And I get it all the time as well, because, like you, I'm the face of this business. The one thing that we really wanted to do with WB40 and the Good Girl Confessional was to make women more visible in our age demographic. That was really important to me, because there's not a lot of representation of women in our age demographic out in the media. And so eventually with the podcast, which started out as audio, rightly so, my partner was really pushing this to go on YouTube, because he said, you're talking about being visual, so you got to be visual. And I think that's right. Yes. And people need to, if you're starting a business, recognize that you got to be going to put your face out there. People want to know who you are.
People absolutely buy from people. It's not like the old age, you just walk into the store and faceless salesperson. If you've got something where you've got a message, people need to believe in you. They need to trust you. And I don't know if I'm sure you've seen my stories, but I haven't brushed my hair half the time. Don't overthink it.
I agree. And gone are the days of the, occasionally when I jump on, there's no makeup, there's whatever, the hair's, so what? It's as you say, it's really about getting the message out there. Absolutely.
And, if there's me timers are watching this, they'll say, oh my God, Sue's got makeup on. It's pretty rare.
Well, we hope all your me timers will be watching this, because your story is fantastic. I love, as I said, it's the messaging really behind your business, which is so beautiful, and encouraging women to take some time out and to really give themselves permission to have some me time. Your products are beautiful quality, t-shirts and as you say, tanks and other clothing line. I'll put all the links to the website here. Everyone can have a look. Beautiful journals as well.
I'm so proud of the products that I've sourced and built and collab. The journal I did with Cara, it's lovely to do. And you know what? I'd never met Cara. Ladies, if you're watching this and you want to collab with someone, ask them. Just ask. Send them a DM. You never know, they might say yes. I've learnt so much, and if I can help others do it, then my heart's full. My job here is done.
I love that, and we're really lucky. Like I've been so blessed with that as well. I have lots of people who slide into my DMs to ask advice or to say, hey, I've got a great story. Some of those incredible women have been on the podcast because I do have an incredible story. Or hey, I think you should write about this, or, have you thought about this, or have you met that person? So I absolutely agree with that. I think never be too shy to reach out. And look, the worst thing that can happen is you reach out and they don't respond. Well, that's okay too, right?
Absolutely. I've had people say no, or I'm too busy. And I say, okay, then that means that wasn't the right time. What else do I want to do? Who else do I want to do it with? Move on.
Exactly. Exactly. And along the way, you just keep meeting other amazing people. So it's been good. So what's been the best thing about starting Me Time Just For Me?
I've been lucky. I've had lots of, like, so happy I could sing moments. I did a launch. I had a big event in October, what year is it, 2019, and I approached Chelsea Pottinger from EQ Minds to come down and do a keynote speech. Anyway, she works with a lot of big corporate companies. She goes in and she talks to them about mental health. I wanted to bring her to small biz ladies that don't have that opportunity to hear her speak. She is like me. She went through postnatal depression, so she is now speaking from experience, and she has done all the work, done all the courses to be an expert in her field. So for me, that was an amazing thing to do, to be able to. I DM'd her, would you be interested? Yes, fell off my chair. Oh my God. Got this amazing event together. And she's now, I can call her one of my friends. So that was a beautiful moment. And the messages I get after the meetups, I love. I actually got a DM yesterday from a lady, or from an Insta buddy, an Insta friend, a work wife, and she was talking to someone else who'd been to the meetup, and she said, Sue, I had to let you know that I was talking to Ange today. She loves the meetups. She loves what you're doing. I just want to say congratulations, keep going. Those little messages and DMs is what keeps me going. So for me, that means me time successful. It's not the money in the bank. Those messages and knowing that I'm helping is what makes me time successful.
Well, that's wonderful. And we will put up all of the links to your website and your socials so people can jump in and they can check out what you do. They can buy your products, but they can actually also see your messaging, which is really lovely. And it has absolutely been a delight to finally get to chat with you, Sue. And that's the other thing, we have emailed, yes. And this is the first time we're kind of meeting, even though it's not, it's via, the internet. It's not in real life, but it's fabulous to see your face and get to chat with you.
Same. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it.
I loved having you on. Thank you so much. And as I said, we will put up all of the links for Me Time Just For Me so everyone can jump on and follow you. And it's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Good Girl Confessional podcast. The Good Girl Confessional podcast is brought to you by WB40, Women Beyond 40 magazine. Available now at WB40.com. The Good Girl Confessional podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to quality podcasts. We're also now available on YouTube. We chat with really interesting women about their hard-won wisdom, but it really helps us if you can subscribe, like, and share the podcast. Thanks so much for your support. Bye for now.